YouTube, this is KingCobraJFS with another video. And in recent news, Playboy has decided to go nude free on the majority of their stuff. I mean, the hardcovers will still feature tasteful nudes, yes, but the majority of it online and all that is going to be cleaned up and what have you. And the head executive is quoted for saying, so people can view it at work safely. Like if you're looking at Playboy while you're at work, chances are you're not doing your job and you're not at work to look at women, you're at work to do your job, is what I'm saying. Now, over the years, people have called Playboy pornographic, and when you ask them, well, why do you say that? And they go, well, because nudity invokes sexual thought. Anything sexual is porn, or whatever. I'm like, okay, let me just break this down for a second. Porn is a four-letter word that involves a three-letter word, which is sex. Now, if you have a woman who's posing by a pool naked, and that's all she's doing, she's naked posing, that's it, it's tasteful, you know what I'm saying? But then there's that fine borderline that if she would take it a step further, if it was a video, or if it was just a photo or video or any format of media at all, and it went from posing naked to fucking herself. But the minute she starts fucking herself, now it's porn. You know, and the argument I made was you look at Hustler versus Playboy. Hustler's way more raunchy. Now, the reason why the head executive made this decision, and this is why he said, is if you can see naked women for free on the internet, where the fuck does Playboy have in today's media-based society? It's a suave business decision. It's risky, but they've claimed to have reached over 12 million new viewers because they've had to quote-unquote clean it up. And they do this because, well, Instagram, for instance, has you can't show nipples or anything like that. So I'm thinking, what happened to the Free the Nipple campaign? What happened to not being ashamed of the human body? You know, I thought that's why Hugh Hefner started the magazine in the first place, was to celebrate the female body. And it's, you know what I'm saying? But then Hugh Hefner got a lot of shit from feminists back in the day because he featured naked women in his magazine. And women back in the day were just, not all of them, but a majority of them were pretty stinking pissed off about that. Because back in the day, times were different, you know what I'm saying? Back then they're like, oh, how dare you objectify women like that? They called it objectifying women. See, I call it celebrating a woman's natural beauty, but that's just my opinion. Okay, and people want to still continue to call nudity pornographic. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Okay? Because when a mother breastfeeds her child, yes, she's exposing her breast, but she's doing it to feed her child. It's a double standard. If you want to sit there and say nudity is pornographic, then that mother who breastfed her child, she is then guilty of exposing her child to porn, is she not? Doesn't work like that, does it? No, it doesn't, YouTube. Or how about, now you go back to the naked woman posing by the pool. She's not fucking herself, she's just posing naked by the pool. That's it. She's naked, basically. And then you take another photo of a parent's newborn baby naked in the hospital. And you want to sit there and say nudity is porn. It doesn't work like that, friends, because here's the thing. If you view that baby picture as pornography, there's something wrong with you, plain and simple. But then again, it doesn't work like that, like I said, because it's a double standard. So you want to sit there and call nudity pornographic, you know, completely ignorant that makes you sound. Completely ignorant. And the human body has been celebrated for the longest time. Ancient art pieces feature naked men and women. You go to any art museum out there, they're going to have statues of naked people. It's just part of the art culture, you know what I'm saying? And the worst somebody might do is, oh, look, a boob, ha, and giggle about it, you know, oh, well. And there are some people who, when they get a Playboy magazine and people ask, why do you have that? They will sit there and say, oh, I'm reading it for the articles. And they will deny that they are looking at that magazine because they want to see some tits. There is nothing wrong with that, people. If you want to look at a Playboy magazine because you want to see a naked woman, there is nothing wrong with that. It is a natural thing, YouTube. But to sit there and deny that you're not doing that. You're just doing it for the articles. Is bullshit. And, to be fair, there have been a number of damn good articles in Playboy over the years of interesting facts. So it's not just sexy, tasteful nude, it's also here's some factual media, what's going on in the world around you. But since the digitalization of media and the internet, you know what I'm saying, these days people don't have to buy a Playboy magazine to see a naked woman. If you have a specific type of woman you're into, you can Google that shit and find websites that you know what I'm saying? Like if you're into goth girls and you want to see goth girls naked, all you gotta do is go to Google, goth girls naked, or goth girls nude, enter, and you'll be taken to a selection of sites. But do be careful when you're doing that, YouTube, in all honesty, because all I gotta say is, would you like some milk to go with your cookies? Some of those websites will give you pop-ups, even if you clear the fucking history. Okay, so you want to be careful when you're doing that kind of thing. And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to see a woman naked. There really isn't. Okay, but the fact our society has the biggest stink about nudity. Okay, anything sexual our society will shun. Our society will sit there and say, sex is taboo, but then 95% of our advertising has sex in it, subliminally and hidden. It's enough to make your head hurt, YouTube, when you slowly slow down and think about it. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. It really doesn't. And I thought Hugh Hefner was the executive producer of Playboy, so shouldn't he have a say in this? So at some point, the executive content owner, he's in charge of making sure and seeing what goes in the magazine, basically. And apparently it's not Hugh Hefner anymore. What the fuck? I thought it was, but I saw this story on the Young Turks, and I was cleaning my apartment. My vacuum doesn't work right now. I have to get a new belt for it. So I have like a dustpan and a little like a little brush. So I basically get on my hands and knees and fucking sweep the floor clean and stuff. Because it's part of living in a house or an apartment is carpets get messy. Clean the carpet, you know what I'm saying? But that's off topic completely. And they claim, like I said, that they've reached 12,000 new members, or not members, but necessarily, but also viewers. And the points that they've made in this TYT video that I watched is that several magazines do this. Maxim, for instance, features attractive women, but they're naked. And I guess what Playboy's trying to say is that she can still be attractive without being naked. I get that. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's Playboy's decision. I'm just saying that at the same time, it's like, well, that's kind of what you were about in the first place, because back when you first started, our society was, excuse, oh, excuse me. Back then when Playboy first started, our society was way more sexually wound up than it is now. As society has progressed over the last 40, 60 plus years, our society has loosened up and been digitalized to sex in the mass media. If they would have had the internet back then when Playboy first started off, it'd be the exact same way it is today. But back then they didn't have the internet, so if you wanted to see a naked woman and you were a lonely teenage male who couldn't attract the opposite sex very easily, it was a lot harder for you to get noticed. You'd buy a Playboy magazine to satisfy your sexual urges and your cravings. It's a natural thing, YouTube. It really is. And then after that, after you get done busting a nut or viewing it, whatever you do with your magazine, you had a nice article to go with it. So it was like, you know what I'm saying? It was just how it played out, I guess. And then, I watched a documentary on Hulu about Hugh Hefner and his life and all the amazing things he's done with it. The various charities that he's donated to, you know what I'm saying? And honest to truth here, women who bitch about nudity in a Playboy magazine are just jealous because they're not in that magazine, for one. Oh, that stung, but that's the truth, YouTube. Okay? And then these same women will call Playboy pornographic instead of looking at it as the body's being celebrated. Okay? And then again, if you don't like something about yourself, if you don't like the way you look, you have the power in your hands to change that look. Okay? Let's say you have your hair's too long, you want to get a haircut. You have that power. Okay? Personally, I like my long rock star hair. I'm not cutting it. Fuck that shit. Unless it gets down to like, if it goes past my butt, then yeah, I'll get it cut back up to my shoulders. But that's beside the point, YouTube. Okay. And then, in all honesty, though, these same women who bitch about women being naked in Playboy, okay, then they came out with Playgirl for the ladies. Like, hey, ladies, you want to bitch about seeing naked women in a magazine? Here you go. Here's a bunch of naked dudes. Now shut the fuck up and enjoy the bodies. Whatever your sexual preference is, just shut the fuck up and enjoy it. It's a natural thing, okay? And here's the thing, you two. You gay, straight, it doesn't really fucking matter. But I'm straight. I'm very comfortable with my sexuality. And yes, time to time, I will have a hard time attracting the opposite sex. It happens. So having a magazine like that, it's nice. You know, it gives me something to think about and look forward to should the future, you know. But don't set my standards too high because, well, yeah, look at me, I'm creepy. Again, beside the point. But it gives you something to think about. You know what I'm saying? Society doesn't look at the nude photo you take of your infant son or daughter fresh out of the hospital. They don't look at that shit as pornographic, but they look at Playboy as pornographic. And the only difference is what sex the person may be and where the location's at and the age. That's the only fucking difference. You know what I'm saying? And in all fairness, when you start to think about it like that, it makes sense. And what I'm saying is Playboy is not porn, and seeing a fresh naked photo of your infant kid fresh out of the hospital, that also is not pornographic. Okay? Again, it's the human body. It's a natural fucking thing. Okay, and the fact that you want to sit there and call nudity porn, okay, then how about when you walk into an art museum, every naked piece on there is pornographic? See what? No, come on. Now, okay, we've all been there. You know, you're in high school or junior high, and you're going on a field trip to an art museum. And the worst a couple boys might do is, oh, look at the boobs, and some of them might giggle, and some of them might be like, get all excited. And it's just a natural thing, YouTube. Okay? I mean, sincerely though, YouTube, and this goes for both sexes. If the person in question is just posing naked, it's not pornographic. But if the person in question is naked and fucking somebody else or themselves, it's pornographic. The minute you start involving sex into it, someone can look sexy without having it to be pornographic. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference between looking sexy and actually involving sex. Because being sexy refers to one's looks versus one's actions. One can be sexy. One can look sexy without being sexual. So in a sense, that's why Playboy is also, I guess, deciding to make their magazine more PC. But back in the day, when Playboy was featuring naked women for the most part, you know, when you were a teenager, you'd sneak into your dad's stash, or you'd ask somebody who was old enough to buy a magazine to buy you one. Or when you were old enough to buy one, you'd buy one yourself. In my case, when I was old enough, when I was 18, I bought like two Playboy magazines when I was 18. And yeah, I might just hold on to those because if Playboy continues to go down the route they're going, making it more PC, those actually might be worth some fucking money someday. You never know. Don't think I'd sell them though, but it's beside the point, YouTube. Okay, it's beside the point. And you sit there and you have to ask yourself, why would they do this? And then again, you cross-examine why they're doing this. One, they're saying, well, because Instagram has a lot of people that are on it, but it's because they don't allow nudity. Because our society thinks nudity is taboo somehow, yet, again, they find nudity to be something sexual when really it's not. Okay, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Our society finds anything sexual or anything they consider sexual to be taboo, yet it's in 95% of the advertising that we see before us. Um, you know what I'm saying? And, oh, it's just ridiculous. And when you stop and think about it logically, it makes no goddamn sense. And to a degree, it makes your fucking head hurt. How are we doing on time for this video? 50 minutes, short, sweet, to the point. I like that. Now, some people have acknowledged on my channel that they like my longer videos. So let's just, at least there are some people out there. But I can't do a super long video every goddamn time, you know what I'm saying? Nobody has time to sit there and watch me ramble in front of this stupid camera for a fucking hour. Well, some people do, and there are legit King Cobra fans that are loyal enough to do that. But if I'm trying to reach a wider audience with my channel and my content, I gotta have a lot of videos that are short, sweet, and to the point. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same way with music. Some of my songs I've created in the past for my albums, 15, 20 minutes long. Way too goddamn long. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of my music, I've started work on my newest album, which is my 7th album, Willows of Sorrow, and the very first song I just finished on it is called, pull up my iTunes here. It's called Sex and Suicide featuring the Venom Music and Lich Design. YouTube is a wonderful website. It's also a hypocritical website, to say the least, but it's wonderful because if I'm a musician and I don't have a band, I can find people on YouTube who create like beats and drum tracks and what have you. And as long as I mention their YouTube username in the title of the song, any money I make off of it goes to my next album on TuneCore. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it took me 6 albums to have my music played on the radio. So where's another 6 albums going to go after that, or another 6 albums after that? You never know. The future is definitely full of opportunity, YouTube. Now, the song Sex and Suicide is basically a song about saying, fuck suicide, I'd rather get pussy. You know what I'm saying, YouTube? It's ironic, though, that when you think about it, because some people, when they break up with somebody, it gets depressing, yeah, it sucks, but you get over it. You know what I'm saying? A breakup from my first actual serious girlfriend, the first one I had was pretty serious. I mean, it did last 2 years, and it didn't end in the most pretty of fashions. But recently I found out some stuff about my ex that I thought was quite ironic. And yeah, I won't go into detail about it because it's irrelevant. But she was basically in an open relationship with a man and a woman, and she wouldn't stop trying to touch the man in that relationship's dick. She kept on asking to see it, shit like that. And then she constantly asked for the man in that relationship in question for a ride and what have you. Then it got to the point where my ex-girlfriend, Stephanie, accused the other two involved of just using her for money when that wasn't even the case. That was not the case to begin with. And the man and woman in question were like, okay, we're done here. It's been nice knowing you, but please get out of our lives. If you're going to treat us like this, then no. And when I found this out on YouTube, I laughed my goddamn ass off. I did. And some part of me has to wonder if my dick did that to somebody. Because one thing I found kind of cool about Stephanie actually was that she was a lot like me when we first met. You know, later on in adult life, not exactly experienced with the opposite sex, you know what I'm saying? But when me and Stephanie met, we were each other's first. So I had that romantic, cutesy factor going on about it. And then I let the confidence go to my head, and long distance, plus once you've had a taste of the sweet nectar of life, you know what I'm saying? Sex does not revolve around life, yet it can create life, if that makes any sense, you too. In other words, it's not everything in the world, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I'm not too big into sex. I like getting pussy, but I don't go out of my way to deliberately get it because the way I see it, when a woman sees you're trying way too goddamn hard to get sex, she's going, "Oh, this is putty in my hands. I'm gonna make this dude jump through so many fucking hoops to get it. Oh, this is way too fucking easy." You don't hear her say that, but in the back of her mind, that's exactly what she's thinking. Case in point, occasionally when I go to the bar, occasionally I will see a guy try to buy a girl drinks. And we've all been there, done that. And the girl doesn't have to go home with the guy. She doesn't. All she has to do is, pretend to be interested, and she can get drunk for free. And I respect that about women. If I could go to the bar and get drunk for free like that, fuck, dude. I'd be like, if hell freeze over? No, if I went to the bar and chicks started buying me drinks, I'd be like, although, interestingly enough, I went to the bar one time and I ordered a drink, and stupid me for not bringing enough money to pay for it. Um, this one girl was cool enough to do that one time, and this is a one-time deal, and we weren't dating or nothing. This was just a random stranger. This was in the bar a long-ass time ago, and I'm sitting there like, thank you. And before that drink, I actually had enough money to pay for all my drinks, and I ordered that one drink, and that's just the thing, is you ask, and you know how much money you have on you, and when you make that mistake, it's not good, because then the bartender's going to be like, well, where's my fucking money? You know what I'm saying? So it's good to limit yourself on that. Know how much money you have on you when you go to the bar, and one or two drinks, and see how you're doing with your money situation, and see how you're doing with your buzz. You know what I'm saying? But like when she did that, I was like, "Thank you so very much. That was very helpful." And the lady sitting at the bar, she was like, "Oh, no problem. I've been there before. I know how it goes." And I go and I ask myself, why can't the rest of humanity be like that? When they see a fellow human being struggling, you know what I'm saying, they help out. And I try to help out when I can, but I can only do so much, you two. And my glass pipe got stolen. I wasn't happy about that. And I went to call it in, but halfway through I decided to just let it go because when I was calling it in, there was a lot of cops and firefighters dealing with a huge fire that broke out in Evansville. And I'm pissed off and trying to call the cops because somebody stole my glass piece. Now, granted, glass pieces are not illegal in Wyoming unless you're smoking tobacco out of them. And the way I figured it, it's just a glass piece. Granted, it sucks because, yes, it was my first glass piece, but the way I see it, there were bigger problems. And later on that night, a couple of my friends, mind you, a couple of my friends who didn't take it, I know for a fact they wouldn't do something like that. I don't know who did, okay? And the person I thought took it didn't. Like, you can just tell when someone's telling the truth. You can see it in their fucking eyes. You know what I'm saying? And, it's hard to trust people when they screw you over like that. And when I bitched about it on Facebook, people started making up accusations. The truth of the matter is, you two, whoever fucking did it, it's going to have karma bite them in the ass really fucking hard. But later on that night, I had a couple of my friends stop by, and I got 2 new glass pieces out of the deal. So I got one stolen from me and got 2 new ones out of the deal. How about that? And life is just funny like that, isn't it? Okay, I got way off topic like I always do in my videos, but you get what I'm saying, YouTube. But yeah, Playboy is deciding to go less nudity with their magazine. I get why they're doing it, and the reason why they're doing it is because they think that, and the whole reason they're doing it is because of our society's narcissistically incorrect views on pornography. And I say narcissistic because, you know, women will twist that in a heartbeat and sit there and say a whole bunch of shit. And they'll find anything to bitch about. Guys can do this too, mind you. But here's the thing: when the internet's available and you have a certain woman you're into, you can look that shit up with a quickness. You know, not every guy is into super skinny. Not every guy's into curvy, and there are some guys who are even into heavier set women. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this whole there's someone out there for everyone. I kind of don't believe it personally, but that's just me. You know, that could change in the near future. You never know. YouTube life is full of surprises like that. I started making my music, and I had no idea I'd actually get it played on the radio. I didn't think it would get that far. I thought it was kind of cool when it happened. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, yeah, life is full of surprises like that. YouTube. If I find that one girl I really connect with really well, awesome. You know, if I don't, and I spend the rest of my life dating and not finding someone, you know, and that's just the thing. If you're dating somebody and they're not completely happy with it, if in the end, you know what I'm saying, it's going to make you unhappy. It may suck because you're going to be single, but you need to do what's right for you and what your heart says, you too. Because when you do find the right one, it's going to be a lot more enjoyable. I can tell you that much right now. Without even knowing what it feels like, I can tell you that right now. Because it's common sense, YouTube. And common sense tells me that nudity is not pornographic. Well, just because a 13-year-old male who's straight, who looks at a naked woman in a magazine or on an online video or an online photo of some sort, and they see that and they get sexually aroused, does that make that form of media pornographic? And the answer to me personally is no. It just means that he's sexually attracted to women. That's all that means. That's all that fucking means. And there's nothing wrong with it. And even if that 13-year-old wasn't, you know what I'm saying? If it was the same sex, going with any sex, you know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing for, and that's just it. I thought that once they gave women Playgirl, that this would stop the whole bullshit argument completely. But apparently Playboy's taking it a step further, and Playboy didn't invent Playgirl, someone else did. I thought to myself, what if I got the cover of Playgirl? Now here's the thing though, YouTube. If you're going to be PC and clean up Playboy, is Playgirl going to do the exact same thing? Are they going to feature less naked men in their magazine? Make them more clothed? And if not, then I call hypocrisy with a quickness. If Playgirl doesn't clean up their shit like Playboy's doing, I'm going to call hypocrisy with a quickness. And again, it's none of my business what these fucking magazines do with their magazines. If these magazines want to clean up, that's their decision. If these magazines don't want to clean up, again, that's their decision. But there again lies that double standard. And the thing of it is, too, even after the digital age of online internet and what have you, Playboy still has a respectable brand name. After the magazine, you have the clothing, the cologne, and what have you, and the Playboy casinos and what have you, or the bars or whatever they're called. And it was, you know what I'm saying? So they still, you know what I'm saying? And I guess I get why they're doing it. Part of me's, I agree with it, I guess, because they're trying to say that we can still make women look sexy without having to be naked. But part of me doesn't agree with it because, again, nudity is not pornographic. And the fact that some stupid social media website has this much control over what somebody does with their magazine is disgusting. The whole Free the Nipple campaign. The whole reason it started is because somebody showed way too much skin. And you could make an adult section for Instagram and have an Instagram for kids, but it wouldn't work like that because do you know how easy it is to lie about your age on that shit? You go to a website that says you must be 18 years of age or older to view these naked gothic girls who are of age. who have consented to these photographs. Please enter your date of birth below. Anybody can lie about that shit. I personally don't have to lie about that shit. I'm 24 years old, goddammit. I'm just saying, though. So there's a lot of, pros and cons and double standards with this kind of a situation here. And again, it's a risky business move, but according to the story that I just watched on TYT, I'm saying that they've apparently reached, like I said, over 20 million plus new people to view their product. And they're doing it to view product. So they're saying, fuck tradition, is basically what they're saying. And this is the thing of it, YouTube, in all honesty, and watching that documentary on Hulu about Hugh Hefner's life, you learn a lot. And it definitely paints a different picture than what you're used to seeing in the mass media via the news and what have you. One of the things Hugh Hefner said was that he was glad to have lived long enough to see the first black president. And he's technically half, but still, it's irrelevant to the point. And you think when the world sees, and you think people have a heyday with the media when they get our first half-black president. Imagine our first woman president. Please don't let it be Hillary Clinton. I can't stand her, YouTube. Something about Hillary Clinton just makes my skin crawl. One of the reasons why I don't agree with Hillary Clinton's politics, and when somebody asked Hillary Clinton about medical marijuana, she goes, I don't think we've done enough research on it to determine whether or not it's safe. That would be a fair argument, except they've done well over 50 fucking studies that prove it cures cancer. So it's like, your husband got caught smoking it, and he said, well, I did smoke it, but I did not inhale. That'd be like me lighting up a cigarette and just blowing the smoke in the camera lens. You don't just blow a fucking cigarette, you actually inhale it to get the nicotine. And you could get nicotine absorbed through your lips, I guess, or through the roof of your mouth, but it wouldn't be as strong. And, if you're really going to try a pot to say whether or not you like it, you actually have to fucking inhale that shit. And if you don't like it, you don't have to smoke it. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. Okay? But to sit there and talk shit about a plant you know nothing about. Fucking off topic. But you get what I'm saying, YouTube. Stephanie was an innocent, it was very shy and quiet at first, but don't let the shy and quiet people fool you, YouTube. They may appear shy and reserved on the outside, but on the inside, they could be completely different. And once I helped Stephanie, I guess, meeting me, she came out of her shell a little bit and she started to open up, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I was on a internet radio show of sorts not so long ago when they asked me about it. And I basically said, yeah, the breakup between me and Stephanie didn't exactly end as smoothly as I thought it would, And girlfriends are like guitars, I guess. You never forget your first one. In fact, I still have my first electric guitar. The amp jack needs to be rewired and it needs strings, but I still have it. Now, I was going to have a dentist appointment right after work on Monday, but my dentist office that I go to, they called and they rescheduled for tomorrow. And so because of my dentist appointment tomorrow, I won't be going to work, but that's quite alright. Tomorrow I get paid, so that's nice. And they usually do a regular checkup to make sure I'm taking better care of my choppers and shit. And people on YouTube have made comments saying I need to brush my teeth more often. And yes, I have a bad habit of doing that. And I have gotten a lot better at doing that because my teeth in recent videos, they don't look as yellow as they used to. So I'm definitely getting better at that. You know, the last thing I'd want is to be 30 years old and wearing dentures. That would kind of suck, to be honest with you. And that's what can happen if you don't brush your teeth. And eesh. Imagine trying to talk to a girl in her 30s, like, hey, baby, how you doing? And all of a sudden my teeth fall out. Oh, my bad. Let's back in for a second. You know what I'm saying, YouTube? So, yeah, you know, smoking tobacco can cause tooth loss, gum disease, a whole bunch of other shit, but it's like, why fucking worry about it right now? The minute, and that's just it. If they legalize pot, these things aren't going to be as dangerous for you as they are now. Because if you smoke so many cigarettes that you start to get cancer from it, you can just smoke pot to reverse the cancer. The cancers caused by tobacco can be reversed by marijuana. I mean, Hugh Hefner has said he doesn't smoke pot, but he's in favor of legalizing it and taxing it. And this is the founder of Playboy. Look how fucking well-known Playboy is as a brand. You see what I'm saying, you two? It'd be kind of cool to have a magazine that features cannabis and semi-clad to naked women. Mary Jane. They could call the magazine Mary Jane. Tasteful nudes of women surrounded by pot. So it'd be like old school Playboy with like High Times magazine mixed into one magazine. Can you picture it, you two? High Times magazine and old school Playboy mixed into one magazine. And speaking of which, marijuana has been proven to cure breast cancer. And October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, YouTube. Titties and THC. Boobs and blunts. Bongs and boobs, YouTube. And explain this one to me, YouTube. The United States government says that smoking pot is a federal offense. The United States government says growing or doing research on pot is a federal offense. Yet the United States government has a pot farm in Mississippi where the government grows their own weed basically for research purposes. There are 4 people in this country who can smoke pot anywhere without getting arrested because the federal and U.S. government provides them their cannabis medicine because their condition that they need the weed for their condition's that bad. So it wouldn't matter 2 shits if their state's illegal because the government provides them their cannabis. They can smoke it anyway, despite the fact that it's federally illegal in some states. And yet the government still sits there and says that, like, look, if it can help these people that are sick, imagine what it can do for the rest of the sick. Imagine what it can do for your fucking economy. Okay, for the sake of the video, I'm doing it. New tab. I'm going to go to Google, because Google is awesome. Google Plus and that 70s show they called Marijuana Circle. We have Google Plus and all its circles. Excuse me. But let's do some research here. How much money has Colorado made off of POT? Enter! Okay, the first article that pops up. Cannabis Cup, hightimes.com. Pot is making Colorado so much money, they literally have to give some back to residents. Holy fucking shit, YouTube. And when was this article posted? Thursday, January 29th, 2015. So it wasn't that long ago, YouTube. It was not that long ago. This was a couple months ago when this article aired. Colorado's marijuana experiment was designed to raise revenue for the state and its schools, but a state law may put some of the tax money directly into residents' pockets, causing quite a headache for lawmakers. The state constitution limits how much tax money the state can take in before it has to give some back. That means Coloradians may each get their own cut of the $50 million in revenue pot taxes. $50 million in pot revenue taxes, YouTube. $50 million. Okay, now another thing we're going to do. I should already know this offhand, but I forget off the top of my head because I'm in video mode right now. I should know this. I went to school and graduated, but forgive me for not knowing already. Okay, there are 50 states in the United States of America, correct? Yes. Now, if marijuana is making $50 million in tax revenue, simple calculation here. If you go to the calculator, it's simple math. You take $50 million in tax money and you times it by 50 states, which means if all 50 states of this beautiful country called the United States of America, if all 50 states were completely legal on marijuana, how much money would we make in tax revenue? Drum roll, please, YouTube. A whopping 23, or not 23, excuse me, $2,500 million in tax revenue. You take 50 states times, if each state was making, it's simple math, YouTube. If you were taking the 50 million and you apply that to each state, that's saying hypothetically, if each state were legal on cannabis, and if each state was making $50 million in tax revenue, then altogether combined, that would mean that this country would have 2,500, no wait, it's not 100, it's 1,000, because there's two zeros. That means our country would be making 25, looks like $25,000 million of cents. That's a lot of fucking money, YouTube. Let me make sure I did that right, because again, I'm autistic and math is, I'm horrible at math. Let's see, we're going to go back to Google here, and yeah. How many zeros are in a million? There is at least 3, so 10, 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. So there, that means 2,500,000 million dollars. Yeah, I was doing the math. Yeah, 2,500,000 million dollars in tax revenue. See, after doing the math on this YouTube, and flashing back to a math lesson I had in school, you count your zeros by 10, 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. So it looks like, okay, so try this again with the calculator. I take 50 points, 6 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, let's try it again. 50 points, 0, 0, 0, point 0, 0. Oh, you can only do 1 point. Okay. Times 50, which would be, excuse me. Oh, you take, that's 50 million times 50 states, and it still adds up to the same amount. $2,500,000 million in tax revenue. So if marijuana was legal in all 50 states, and each state made the same amount of money as Colorado did, which according to that article was 50 million in tax revenue, this country would literally be making $2,500,000 million in tax revenue off of one simple yet beautiful plant. Don't believe me? Fair enough. I will post the article for the article, and you can see it for yourself if you don't believe me. And I will post it in the description box of this video right here. But holy shit, YouTube, that's astronomically, that's a lot of fucking money. A lot of fucking money. And the fact that we waste even more money than that, a good 1/3 of that gets wasted in taxpayers' money to jail, to throw people in jail. Because people who go to jail, who pays for that person to be in jail? Your taxes do. So your hard-earned tax dollars go to throw people in jail for a plant that could be making our country $2,500,000 million in tax revenue if it was legal, and if hypothetically each state was making the same amount of money as Colorado was making in tax revenue. That doesn't include recreational sales, YouTube. So pretty much this video about Playboy's decision and the drug war. I will leave you with that. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Oh yeah, 47 minutes long. Okay, it's not too terribly long, but it's giving you something to think about if you aren't already convinced.